Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Yeah. It's great to be out. They let me out. You know, I joke with my peers at Intel. I always remind them that hardware without software is just heat. So, it doesn't go over very well. Thanks for laughing. So the last time I was standing on this stage, Sundar from Google, he runs Android and Chrome, gave me a Googler hat. You know, it has those multicolor hat with the propeller on it for our participation, and I'm hoping I can score a red fedora from Paul today. All right, so how many of you guys have these type of devices? Right, smartphone. Who doesn't have it? Raise your hand. How many of you guys go to parties and talk about, the new app you have or the new type of device you have? It's part of a conversation. Raise your hand if you have a conversation about the data center you're using. It's not the same thing at a party, is it? To bring home how important the data center is and all the work that a lot of you in this room do, we put together it's a little bit long, but it really brings home the point of how critical the data center is to the experience all of you have on these devices. So why don't we roll that video, then I'll come back and talk about how important it is for open platforms as well.
Hey, you see, I don't think I could pull off a mustache.
Hey, where you been?
Oh, you found us.
I can't stay though.
What?
What do you mean you can't stay?
You just got here.
I know, I'm meeting somebody.
Oh, do tell.
I don't know, it's a blind date.
Well, she'd have to be, right?
Where are you taking her?
It's called Lay something or other. It's in my phone.
Answer me this. If you don't know what she looks like, how are you going to find her?
She's gonna be wearing a red scarf.
Oh, we thought of everything.
Covered.
Very smart.
All right, I'm out of here.
All right,
Okay.
well, you call if you need anything.
Thanks for the drink. Hey, buddy.
Hey!
Sorry.
Hey, buddy. Where you headed?
Just give me a second. I'm gonna look up the address.
Where are we going, huh?
Sorry, man.
I can't drive around like this all night.
It's the same thing as your screen, man. Data center not available. I don't know what.
End of the tour, boss.
Like, where's my wallet? I promise you I'm good for it. I'm really sorry. I just need to look something up, please. I just need to look it up real quick. I need to find this. I'm out. I'm sorry. Hey, lady, I'm so sorry. Have a great night. Sorry, you got really good rhythm. Why are you doing this to me? What have I done?
Can I help you?
You can't because
No?
I'm here.
No, you know what? I can't let you in, right?
Excuse me?
Well, this isn't that kind of establishment. How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Well, what kind of establishment is that? You're letting that guy in?
Yeah,
What's going on?
this kind of establishment.
No, you
So-
can't do that to me. You have
Like
no
you.
idea. No, sir.
Well, at least that'll give you something to talk about tonight. So it's important. The data center is critical. All those devices, what Padma talked about, the Internet of Things or the Internet of Everything, whether it's the wearables that we have, the devices I showed you, or the industrial Internet, all those things run on a data center. It's critical. It's at the heart of what we're driving. By 2020, there's going to be over 50 billion connected devices, or 50 billion. What are those devices doing? They're driving data to the data center. They're connecting and driving data to the data center. And what's that data being used for? Building services and capabilities that the applications use on those devices to deliver more value. More value is driven back to the data center in the form of data, which then in turn drives more value to those devices. We refer to this as the virtuous computing cycle. A new cycle of computing is emerging. As more and more devices get deployed and utilized, more data gets generated, more services are built on that, and then again, in turn, more devices are demanded. This is driving a virtuous cycle of computing. This is driving demands on the data center, from compute to storage to network. We're using virtualization, but still the utilization is too low. The rate of growth and demands on the storage subsystem is staggering, 40% CAGR, and 90% of that data is unstructured. And then the provisioning of the network, all the computations it takes and the time it takes to provision a new service or application is lengthy. So are you ready? Is the IT infrastructure ready? Are we ready to move forward and take advantage of this new virtuous cycle? There's two things I want to talk about that are critical for us moving forward and the things we need to do. And the first is evolving and transforming the infrastructure. And the second is the business. On the infrastructure, you need to still have that reliability, but it needs to be flexible, agile, and be able to deploy services quickly, all while taking advantage of the capabilities built in around security to meet the compliance issues that are being driven into these devices. And on the business side, this is an opportunity that's rare. I strongly believe that IT is moving from being a support organization, which is still critical for your business, to being part of the business, taking advantage of the value you have in your data center to become part of the business. So let's talk about the transformation of the infrastructure. I want to talk about four areas in transforming that. Let's start with the open platform. On the open platform, Intel and Red Hat have been working for a decade to evolve the open platform to make it an enterprise-ready capability. We have a standing competition with Red Hat. Every quarter they measure who contributes the most to the kernel. And Intel and Red Hat continue to vie for #1 in that area. So we're absolutely committed, and we have the resources behind it and the commitments to show that. We started back in 2000, really bringing the availability up, bringing mission-critical Linux to the enterprise, adding things around I/O and memory, hot swapping, right, DIMM replacement. Moving to 2010 was a big shift for Intel. Our Nehalem architecture added 20 RAS features, really focusing on availability, machine check architecture for recovery, predictive failure, error correction, all sorts of capabilities into our platform. What did we need in conjunction with that? We needed an operating environment that took advantage of all those capabilities, and that's where we worked in open source with Red Hat to bring Linux to the ability to handle and deploy enterprise-capable solutions. And we're moving forward this year with our Intel RunSure technology, advancing the capabilities in our core processor to ensure we recover from memory errors and more enterprise advanced features. All the while, we're optimizing that and deploying that in Linux. This has moved open platforms like Intel Xeon platforms and Red Hat software and Linux platforms to the forefront, replacing proprietary platforms. And you can see the results of that. Since 2000, you can see what's happened in the growth rate. Not only has it surpassed, but it's escalated well past the proprietary solutions and continues to grow. So it's legitimate. Paul couldn't have said it better. It's just part of the conversation. It's Microsoft and Red Hat delivering enterprise capabilities today. But we're not stopping there. We're continuing to advance the capabilities. We're not setting on that and resting on that. We're continuing advancing our platform. Our latest E7 shows 80% improvement in performance above the competition using spec int rate. So the performance is absolutely critical to us, and we continue to optimize our platform so you can ensure that when you deploy Intel architecture, you're getting the best performance. But it's more than just performance. You're being held accountable for total cost. And so when we looked over a 4-year period, you can reduce your total cost of ownership by 80% when you consider the cost of the hardware, the licensing, the energy, all the elements that go into running that solution can reduce your total cost of ownership. So we're committed to ensuring that we deliver these platforms that bring that value to you, and then optimizing Linux to take advantage of those capabilities. Let's move to virtualization. You know, I look at virtualization, it was one of the most innovative times that I had at Intel. Back in the virtualization, we call it 1.0, we built this thing called VT into our platforms. And it's one lesson I learned about the innovation. Paul talked about how innovative people that work in open source are and how critical it is to the acceleration of innovation. When we built VT technology into our platform, I remember we did not have a solution in the market that was going to take advantage of it. We were going to stand up in front of 3,000 or 4,000 sales reps at Intel and tell them to go sell this capability and the value it brings. But we needed a solution that took advantage of that. And that's where we worked with the open source community to innovate in open source and to bring open virtualization onto the platform, allowing us to quickly accelerate how fast virtualization technology was adopted in the industry. And now everybody uses that virtualization technology. And it's the foundation of what we call Virtualization 1.0. This is what was used to reduce the capital investment, driving consolidation in the data center. We continued forward where we wanted to add flex migration, the ability to migrate workloads without having any downtime, or the ability to provision new workloads as demands increased. So we continue to add technologies. And going forward, we're adding more and more capabilities to help us deliver on cloud computing. You know, virtualization really is the starting point and the foundation of what we now consider cloud computing. So we're going to continue to advance that in our Virtualization 3.0. Red Hat has been with us all along, the whole way. And they have a consistent solution across our breadth of platforms, from the Atom, microservers, all the way up to our Xeon E7 platform we just launched. Been with us the whole time. We're moving forward to the next stage, storage. You know, storage today, a lot of dedicated, targeted storage media for each application is now shifting to delivering on standard-based platforms, virtualizing standard-based platforms, allowing IT to have a compute pool of storage, a pool that they can provision depending on the performance needs, whether it's capacity or whether it's I/O performance or what needs they have. It allows that flexibility to deploy that solution into their enterprise. We worked with Red Hat to build a reference architecture on Red Hat storage with Xeon platforms using the Gluster file system, showcasing how this can be done very rapidly. That same playbook is moving forward on networking, where you have fixed function networking evolving to virtual platforms, allowing more flexibility for the telecom industry to deploy the infrastructure needed to meet their demands, all while reducing cost. We demonstrated this at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona in February. Intel, Red Hat, Dell, and others built an end-to-end orchestration of a virtual network and showcased how this could be done with telecom industry. So we're continually pushing the envelope, and this is the next stage of evolving in the virtual environment. But it all takes orchestration. If you take a look at today's world, a lot of these plethora of devices have multiple management interfaces, multiple management consoles, and it becomes very difficult to meet the needs of the guy that had that device as the applications that he needs and the new services you want to deliver are very complicated to deploy in this type of environment. This is where software-defined infrastructure comes into place. Having software-defined infrastructure allows you to use standard-based building blocks like our Intel architecture, virtualize those environments, and then deploy them on demand. This requires an orchestration layer, a layer that digs deep into the hardware, that's tied to the hardware, allowing it to take advantage of new capabilities that are continuing to evolve in these platforms. Whether it's security or performance or new instructions, you want that orchestration layer to take advantage of that to deliver the value to your management community. It simplifies the interface and it simplifies the number of management consoles, accelerating your ability to deploy new services. In the open source world, it's all about OpenStack. On the right, you see all the different companies involved, largest number of companies involved in an open source platform, all driving this capability with multiple contributors and multiple distributions. Intel is actively participating in the places you would expect us to participate, in the storage, compute, and network. We're also working aggressively in the management and orchestration layers to ensure that we evolve this to add enterprise capabilities, to make it easy to deploy, to add the elements of security that are critical. We're investing our resources to ensure that happens so that you have an open cloud platform to deploy in your enterprise. But all this needs to be built on top of a secure layer. Now, security is a broad space, but it's no less important in this area than anywhere else we've heard. It's getting lots of press, as you all know these days. It needs to be inherent in the things we do and deliver in our platforms. As the number of devices continues to grow, you need to ensure that you're securing your environment. These 50 billion devices we talk about are all entry points into security issues. So we need to ensure that as that number of devices grows, the security around delivering that capability, both bringing it into the network, into the environment, into the enterprise, as well as delivering services out, are secure. There's nearly 500,000 malware detections a week already, and that's going to continue to grow. That's causing $1 trillion a year in data loss. $1 trillion a year, that's higher than the illegal drug trade. It's a big deal. And this is top 3. If you talk to IT managers, this is in their top 3 lists of things they worry about. And then you pile on the compliance, whether it's HIPAA, whether it's Sarbanes-Oxley, whether it's the government telling you you cannot move data outside of your corporate network or move it to different countries. All these elements need to be brought in when you deliver these services. And this is why we're building these capabilities into our platforms, whether it's trusted execution environment and trusted execution technology or open attestation server. These elements are being built into our platforms, and we're working with the OpenStack community to adopt these technologies so you can bring up trusted compute pools. So as you boot up that device and you operate a workload on it, you know it's trusted. You know that you can move that trusted workload from one trusted compute pool to another. We're going to continue to add capabilities like geofencing to help you with regulations, so it stops you from moving a workload from one location to a location that's not allowed, whether it's outside the country or outside of the enterprise firewall. This helps accelerate your ability to use both private and public cloud capabilities and know that you're remaining compliant. So all those kind of things we need to add to this as a base capability. It needs to be inherent in what we do. So all these building blocks in place, what are we doing at Intel? Well, at Intel, we've taken advantage of these capabilities internally. Back in 2000, we had about 12% of our platforms were virtualized up through 2009. Today, we're at 75% of our enterprise and office servers are virtualized, and we're growing. But what's more impressive is our ability to provision these devices. We're at 3 months to provision a new service, and we're nearly at less than an hour now, building that cloud-based environment internally to our environment. So that leads me to the second transformation, the one I'm most excited about, and the opportunity you all have is the business transformation. Transforming what you have inside your data center into value. You know, Forbes talks about big data. We've all heard about big data. Forbes talks about it as being the new oil. The new oil is an opportunity to be refined and deliver value and extract value for your customers. You need to be able to manage, store, extract, to predict, to deliver those services we talked about to those 50 billion devices. And to do that, you need tools that can do that for you. And once again, we're innovating in open source. Hadoop is the area of innovation, where we're bringing capabilities into that platform. You know, you look back at how fast Hadoop has evolved. It started out as just a MapReduce capability, batch processing. Now we're doing real-time streaming analytics. We have open source graph analytics tools. And the framework is now evolved to the point where new capabilities continue to be built on top of it. And in this space, performance matters. We're driving valuable performance into this operating environment, the open operating environment of Apache Hadoop. We've improved performance by 30x over the competitive architecture on Intel architecture. In the Hadoop distribution we participated in, we had over 2x performance improvement by driving performance optimizations. And in security, which is critical, the encryption, we had a 20x performance improvement. So in the early stages, we're seeing ample opportunity to continue to drive performance. You've heard about our announcement with Cloudera, where we're driving these optimizations into their distribution. But we're driving every one of these optimizations into the open source, upstream. At Intel, we believe in the open source model. And the open source model means you drive it upstream to ensure all distributions can take advantage of it. And so we're going to continue to do that here. So all distributions, whether it's Hortonworks, MapR, Cloudera, and others, can take advantage of these capabilities. And just like we talked about with the cloud environment, we're participating with big data in Intel as well. We're working with things like using big data to reduce manufacturing failures and saving millions of dollars in manufacturing sales by analyzing that data. Our sales force uses it to better serve our customers, analyzing that data and being able to deliver better value to our customer in return for value to Intel. And finally, and most importantly, big data is being used to help us prevent security challenges. We detected over 4 billion security infractions using big data analysis. So we're focusing on big data to solve business problems. We're focusing there to ensure that we deliver better value to our customers and better internal capabilities to our business unit partners. So the question is, if Intel's doing that internally, what are you guys doing? Are you taking advantage of the information you have, the solutions you have in place? Are you changing your infrastructure to ensure that you can deliver those services much more quickly, much more seamlessly, using software-defined infrastructure and standard-based building blocks to really accelerate how you can bring that value to your partners? And then are you looking internally at what you have? The information you have is a gold mine. Are you finding ways to extract that value and bring that value to your partners, to either internal or even externally, and becoming part of the business? This is your opportunity to do that. That is where the value is. The value is in data today, and you have the opportunity to really bring that out and deliver extended value to your customers. So Intel and Red Hat will continue to work together. We will continue to invest in capabilities into our Intel architecture to bring more value, whether it's performance or security or other capabilities. We're going to continue to evolve the enterprise capabilities of our platform, from the Atom-based platform all the way up through our high-end Xeon-based platforms. And we're working in combination with the open source community and Red Hat to ensure that the combination of the hardware platform and the software deliver the best value to you. We want to be your partner in delivering that. And so our commitment is to continue to work in open source to ensure that we bring that to the enterprise. So are you guys ready to take advantage of that? You really need to use this summit as an opportunity to explore to learn and figure out where you can bring that value to your enterprise. So thank you very much.